coming up on the Monday edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Kelsey Richards. I'll show you what students and administrators are saying about the hot topic of tuition.
And I'm Chris Walker. I'll show you how a peaceful rally at the Capitol turned into a lot more than that.
In sports, UNC versus Duke, number 1 against number 2. We'll break down the titanic battle at Cameron Indoor, one of the biggest comebacks in Carolina Duke history.
Plus, Miles Henderson is here with a look at your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and more, Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Hello, and welcome to the January 30th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Shelley Basinger.
And I'm Crystal Calloway. Tuition increases are causing a divide between administrators and students, even after UNC was named the best public value in the country. Kelsey Richards is live in the newsroom with more. Kelsey?
Crystal, if you're a junior, you've already seen tuition go up each of your 3 years at Carolina. And some students think another increase just isn't fair. Tuition is rising again this year, and many students are not happy about having to pay more money.
I think it's really unnecessary. I just think it's really unfair.
I'm not really happy about it.
One of the reasons these students are unhappy is because they don't know what the extra money is for.
I don't know the details of where all the money's going.
Student body president Seth Dearman says tuition is rising for a valid reason.
To increase TA stipends to make sure that we're competitive with our peer institutions to recruit the best TAs, and then also to retain key faculty that we want to keep.
But some students say there are ways to make tuition increases easier to digest.
I think if we kind of could put in some sort of plan that locks in tuition for each incoming class for their 4 years or something like that, people would probably complain a lot less.
I think it'd be a lot fair if the tuition that you entered in as a freshman was what you paid for all 4 years.
After considering student input, the Board of Trustees has instated a predictability clause for tuition decisions from this point forward.
We really do establish a plan of where tuition is going to go over time, and that in and of itself gives us a real ability to say to students and to families that this is what you can expect.
Kiplinger magazine just rated UNC as having the best value of any public university in the country for the 5th time. The president of the Out-of-State Student Association, Joy Kasayan, says she decided to come to UNC because of the value. But she thinks if tuition continues to rise, we may lose some out-of-state students.
I think that they will probably be looking at a lower caliber of out-of-state students with these hikes.
Crystal, in-state students will pay $250 more in tuition, and out-of-state students will see their bills go up by $1,100.
As an out-of-stater about to graduate, I understand how non-resident students feel about this. Kelsey Richards reporting from the newsroom. Thanks, Kelsey.
UNC will be looking for a new provost in the coming months. Current Provost Robert Shelton is a Phoenix native. He will be going home in July to become the 19th president of the University of Arizona. The Arizona Board of Regents voted for Shelton unanimously last Friday. Incoming Carolina students already have their first homework assignment. The Carolina Summer Reading Program has chosen The Namesake by Pulitzer Prize-winning author Jhumpa Lahiri. The book is about the struggle of a family of immigrants from India and their search for a new identity in the United States. This is the 8th year of the program.
The campus election is coming, but listen up, candidates. You better not chalk sidewalks, tag trees, or stick ads on building walls. Student organization leaders received a letter that quotes the facilities use policy. Associate Vice Chancellor Christopher Payne says the policy is in everyone's best interest.
Keeping our campus beautiful is everyone's responsibility, not just university grounds and others who go and clean the campus.
The campaign kicks off with clean sidewalks and buildings, and candidates who violate the facilities policy might wind up paying for cleanup and repairs. The UNC community is still grieving for a psychology professor and 2 other pedestrians killed on Chapel Hill roads last week. 71-year-old Professor David Galinsky died at the intersection of Highway 15501 and Manning Drive Wednesday night. He was crossing the busy 4-lane highway to get to a Carolina basketball game. Chapel Hill Police spokeswoman Jane Cousins says more pedestrians died on Chapel Hill roads last week than in the past 6 years, and says when walking near traffic, you need to pay attention.
We want people to be alert. We want people to be cognizant. We want people to think about the fact that there could be somebody on a bike or another car maybe not obeying all the rules. So defensive driving, we want people to be alert but not afraid.
Cousins says the driver of the car that hit Galinsky won't be charged. On Wednesday, we'll take an in-depth look at pedestrian safety in Chapel Hill.
Town officials are a bit concerned after Chapel Hill's first cleanliness audit. The mayor and town council members walked through downtown Chapel Hill last week, hoping to find clean, safe areas. They were disappointed. Instead, officials found garbage, graffiti, and gaps in the sidewalk. Shelton Henderson owns a store on Franklin Street. He says he doesn't think trash is a big problem in his part of town.
I see them cleaning up every night, cleaning up at their store, everywhere up on this area here. It's pretty nice.
Chapel Hill Downtown Partnership plans to send letters to businesses that need to clean up their act. The group is also planning a town cleanup day.
Has someone ever made a sexual comment to you that made you feel uncomfortable? Well, you're not alone. A recent study found that nearly 2/3 of college students, both men and women, have experienced sexual harassment. Most of the incidents are non-contact. They include remarks, gestures, and jokes. And more than 30% of college students say they've been victims of physical sexual harassment. Examples include being touched, grabbed, or pinched in a sexual way. Senior Stephanie Wheeler says the physical harassment really bothers her.
They just come up behind you and start grinding on you, and I don't know, it makes me feel weird. It makes me feel like I need to escape, and I try to get people to rescue me.
If you've experienced sexual harassment and need to talk to someone, please visit our website at carolinaweek.org or go there for a list of agencies.
People on both sides of the death penalty issue have strong feelings. Chris Walker is in our studio to tell us about the fireworks at an anti-death penalty protest in Raleigh. What happened, Chris?
Shelley, a small group of UNC students went to the state capitol, hoping Governor Easley would take time to hear their message about the death penalty. The UNC group campaigned to end the death penalty met early Monday morning at the state capitol building in Raleigh to deliver a message to Governor Easley. That message came in the form of a DVD of UNC students' candid thoughts about the death penalty. Organizer Josh Glasser says the responses in the film show many students advocate a moratorium on the state's death penalty.
We're not a radical group. We don't have incredibly out-of-this-world demands. We simply would like to see more fairness in our criminal justice system.
The group found its peaceful delivery not so well received. After a quiet march to the office of the governor, Raleigh police arrived to control the demonstration. We weren't allowed in the building. But after explaining a miscommunication in the group's protest permit, co-president Ryan Presley was allowed to submit the DVD to the governor's office.
Hopefully enough media attention will persuade the governor just to take 5-10 minutes of his time and to watch this video and actually consider just another set of views of people in this state, citizens of North Carolina, and in this case students at UNC Chapel Hill who support a moratorium.
Shelley, the problem was that by bringing the signs to the office of the governor, the group violated its permit to legally protest at the Capitol. The permit allowed the group to assemble on the north side of the Capitol building only.
Chris Walker reporting from the studio. Thanks, Chris.
The British aren't coming, they've arrived.
What's the BBC doing in downtown Durham? We'll have that answer when Carolina Week continues.
"200 years ago, Lewis and Clark set out to discover an all-water route to the Pacific. But what they really discovered in themselves and everyone they encountered are qualities we can still learn from today. as we commemorate the Lewis and Clark bicentennial. We invite you to walk with them at lewisandclark200.org and see what you discover, because their trail winds through us all.
Not that long ago, an openly gay person had no chance of being elected to office.
But as Lydia Garlikov reports, the political landscape has changed considerably across the nation and here locally.
Gay pride parades like this one in London first came to the U.S. more than 30 years ago, just as many states began decriminalizing homosexual activity. But homosexuals soon became a political target. Chapel Hill Town Council member Mark Kleinschmidt remembers.
Let's find some marginalized groups, characterize them as demons, and walk on their backs to the pinnacles of power. Well, I laughed, but it worked.
In the 2004 elections, voters in all 11 states voting on an amendment to outlaw gay marriage banned gay marriage. Some charge that conservative groups and Republican leaders like President George Bush succeeded in using it as a divisive issue among voters. Gay rights activists see a silver lining, though. Jay Brown works at the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the Human Rights Campaign, or HRC. The nation's largest advocacy group for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights is celebrating its 25th anniversary.
It's night and day, the difference between the way things were in 1980 and where we are today. Public opinion has just, in every category you look at, public opinion has changed for the better.
When the HRC was founded in 1980, there were few openly homosexual elected officials. 25 years later, there are more than 300 nationwide and one right here in Chapel Hill. Councilman Kleinschmidt.
Did I support our public transportation system? Yes. But did I have good policies on affordable housing? Yes. That's what got me elected. But to be honest, I didn't make any secrets. I didn't try to keep anything secret about my sexuality.
Patrick Guerrero heads the Log Cabin Republicans, a group of Republicans fighting for gay and lesbian civil rights, exposing one of the many divisions within that fight.
Gay and lesbian Americans need to recognize that it will be impossible to reach full equality for LGBT Americans without courageous gay conservatives helping win new allies in America.
Some gays and lesbians vehemently disagree. Here you can see an individual throw a pie at Guerrero during an October speech at Carolina. Organizers believe it was a homosexual protesting Guerrero's involvement with the Republican Party. Supporters of gay and lesbian civil rights say the movement is on a forward path, moving all the faster when they're united. But they realize some states will move faster than others.
I'd like to be optimistic and say that it's just a matter of time, and hopefully sooner than later we're going to have full equality with every other citizen in our state. But it's hard to say with high confidence that that's going to be the case.
In its 2006 session, the North Carolina General Assembly will consider an amendment banning gay marriage. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lydia Garlikov, Carolina Week.
The General Assembly comes back into session in early May.
When it comes to the BBC making a visit to Durham, who says news can't be news? Certainly not the hundreds of listeners who came for a taste of muffins, and the BBC's Robin Lustig. Lustig broadcast the BBC NewsHour live from WUNC in Durham Wednesday morning. Fans of all ages gathered around to hear him speak. The vice president of GM of the American Tobacco campus, Paul Pope, explained the significance of the visit to our area.
And one of the things that public radio promised us when they came, that we would do events like this. So this is important to the campus because we like having the public come to our campus.
This is the first time the BBC program ever originated from a local station.
Would you stand outside in the cold for 3 days straight for riser tickets to the Duke game? Some diehard UNC fans did. Friday afternoon, 11 students gathered in the pit to get their hands on a Duke ticket. They came prepared to face the elements with layers, gloves, and for one contestant, a pair of lucky cowboy boots. The competition required the Brave 11 to keep at least one hand on the table-long replica ticket at all times. Organizers provided meals, but no heat. The participants got 10-minute bathroom breaks every 2 hours. After 53 hours, 38 minutes, and 38 seconds, the final two decided to end the contest and split the tickets. Not everyone has to go to such extremes. Seniors surrounded the Dean Dome on Sunday to snatch some coveted Duke basketball tickets. The wait gave some students a chance to relax and catch up with friends. Others took advantage of a tempting GAA offer and enjoyed a little Southern fried comfort courtesy of Bojangles. And as for that last senior ticket, it went to Carolina Week's own Philip Jones. Shelly, Philip told me he was standing out there for 4.5 hours to get those tickets.
Well, I was only out there for 2.5, but luckily the rain held off and it was a pretty mild day outside. Weathercaster Miles Henderson is here with us in the studio. Miles, are we going to keep seeing this mild weather?
Well, it's going to continue for at least the next day, but we have a system coming around the corner. The end of January is bringing out unusually warm temperatures throughout the triangle. But how much longer will these kids be able to enjoy playing outside? I'll have the answer coming up.
Once you see the world through math and science, you'll never see anything the same way again. Go to girlsgotech.org.
You'll see.
What's wrong, Mrs. Jenkins? Come on, you can tell me.
Well, there's no funding for the new reading program, and I've tried everything and nothing works. It's not fair. Nobody ever gives me funding.
When adults run out of ideas, they can feel as frustrated as kids. ConnectForKids.org has thousands of resources for helping kids in your community.
Mrs. Jenkins, holding your breath is not going to get you any more funding.
ConnectForKids.org, guidance for grown-ups.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Miles Henderson. Well, a lot of us saw fog early this morning, but right after that, temperatures rose well up into the mid-60s. But that's only a one-day event, as we're going to have cooling temperatures throughout the rest of the work week. The cooling temperature is going to be associated with the system that's moving through. It's going to bring rain tonight and into tomorrow, which will linger into the evening hours just a little bit. But after the system moves through, we're going to warm back up into the 60s throughout the rest of the week into the weekend. Let's start out by taking a look at the U.S. satellite map. There's a system over the East Coast right now. It's kind of a double front system. You can see one right here and then another trailing right behind it. We're just experiencing clouds right now, but the rain is off to our west in the mountain regions. Towards the central U.S., it's basically clear. If we zoom in a little bit on the southeast satellite, there's the big band of clouds right now that's predominantly over the Carolinas and Georgia. And there's a band stretching just to the west right there. You can see it's a little bit darker. That's where the rain is, which we can pick up on the radar. There's the rain bands right there throughout Kentucky and Tennessee. Those are going to slowly push into the mountain regions of North Carolina and Virginia. This is going to affect us tomorrow, bringing showers and the chance for a thunderstorm throughout the majority of the day. Not the best day to get out and enjoy the weather. If we take a look at the surface analysis, all this rain is associated with this low pressure system, and there's the dangling cold front. There's also another cold front that's scooting up to the north. These are both going to push through our area tonight and into tomorrow, bringing us rain and also dropping the temperatures just a little bit. Off to our west, though, high pressure system is dominating, and it's going to bring some nice weather throughout the remainder of the week and into the beginning of the weekend. We can see that on the Carolina Week 4-day forecast. For Tuesday, the shower is going to move into the area with a high of around 53 degrees. The warming trend starts on Wednesday as we have mostly sunny skies, a high of around 54. Going to warm up through Thursday and Friday, topping out around 61 degrees on Friday under partly cloudy skies. Well, temperatures are well above average. We take a look at the weather almanac. The maximum temperature, normal temperature for this time of year is 51. On Friday, we're expected to hit 61, and today we had a high of 65 degrees, well above average. Definitely going to be a good time to go out and enjoy it.
Definitely. Well, thanks, Miles.
You're welcome.
I can't say I'm not enjoying the mild temperatures, especially at those early morning ticket distributions for basketball games.
Very, very true. You know, sportscaster Michael Crow joins us now, and it was a pretty big winning weekend in Carolina basketball.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for the Carolina basketball fans and the players themselves, with men's, but also with women. That's what we lead off in sports. So coming up in sports, it was a game billed as a clash of the Titans between the two juggernauts of women's college basketball. We have all the highlights of Sunday's Carolina Duke game at Cameron and the Heels' legendary comeback.
Recycling a glass bottle saves enough energy to run the TV you're watching for 1 full hour. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Making a can from recycled aluminum instead of from raw materials reduces air pollution by 95%. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Recycling all our Sunday papers would save over 500,000 trees a week. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
Un día en el bosque las ratas jugaban. Escucha Smokey antes de tratar.
Solo tú.
No juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego. Fuego. No hay nada perturbable con el asustar a un pobre ratón sin casa en que vivir. Si un hermoso bosque es lo que deseas, no juegues con fósforos, no juegues con fuego.
Solo tú puedes prevenir los fuegos en áreas naturales.
¡Fuego!
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Michael Crow. After seeing the Cameron Crazies in person Sunday night, I only have one thing to say. It sure feels good to be number one. In a rivalry game, rankings really don't matter, nor does being down double digits in a hostile environment. When the second-ranked Tar Heels trailed the top-ranked Blue Devils by 16 points Sunday night, those details just added to the sweet taste of victory on the bus ride home.
Carolina found itself in an unfamiliar position at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke out-hustled the Heels in the first half. Head coach Sylvia Hatchell says the Blue Devils had more desire.
Duke was outplaying us. They were getting all the loose balls, all the tie-ups. You know, they were just playing. They played harder than we did in the first half, and like they wanted it more.
The solution? Simple.
Let's just go out there and rebound and tighten up our pressure defense, and let's get the ball inside. Let's move more than we're moving, you know, and take advantage of our athleticism and our quickness.
And Carolina executed, led by a tenacious Ivory Latta and a dominating 23-point performance by Arlena Larkins, both inside and outside. The Heels fought back. Latta penetrated at will and added 6 assists to her 17 points. Carolina stepped up defensively with 14 steals and held Duke below 40% shooting in the second half. With less than a minute remaining, this Latta drive and Latangela Atkinson's free throws sealed the 4-point victory.
I'm proud of my team. We fought hard. You know, I was telling them, please don't get down. You know, we practice harder in practice. You know, game's supposed to be easy, and we came together at the end, and that's why I love them so much.
I mean, this is nice, but I'd like to have it the last game of the season, you know. You know, we know that we can't let down in any way, shape, or form because we got that big zero, I mean, that big bullseye on our backs, and everybody's coming after us.
That was great to see. With the win, the Heels are now the only undefeated team in the country and will likely rise to number 1 in the polls. Well, Saturday, Wes Miller decided for his 23rd birthday he'd have some cake, ice cream, and a win to go along with the Wildcats. Tyler Hansbrough led the Tar Heels with 21 points and 11 boards in the 86-69 thrashing of Arizona. I smell another ACC Rookie of the Week award. Terry Miller and my favorite color, green, also posted double digits to their resume. Fraser earlier in the week dislocated his finger but went on to have a perfect game with 9 assists and 0 turnovers. This performance pushes the Tar Heels to 12-5 overall. Coach Williams says the Heels got a big E for effort.
Loved our competitiveness, and then let's be honest, we made shots, and when you make shots, the whole game looks a lot prettier.
While the women's basketball team maintained its perfect record, the women's gymnastics team is no longer undefeated. The team performed almost perfectly against Maryland, Kentucky, and James Madison on the vault and parallel bars. Courtney Bumpers makes it look easy on the bars, but she made some crucial mistakes along with her other teammates during the balance beam portion of the competition. The judges were impressed with junior Christine Robella's impersonation of Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, and check out Bumpers' extraordinary tumbling technique. Yep, I taught her that. This mistake hurt though, and the Tar Heels finished 3rd.
The season is not defined by one meet early in the season. The season is defined by the way we respond to the challenges that we face, and as long as we continue to work together as a team and they encourage each other and they work hard in practice, we're going to get the results that we want.
Fans filled the Eddie Smith Fieldhouse this weekend to catch Carolina compete in a variety of track and field events. The track meet got off to a quick start Saturday, and the Tar Heels didn't disappoint. The team cheered on as UNC senior Pablo Durana won the 1-mile race, and Carolina Week alum, that's senior Cassie Keene, took third for the Tar Heel women. Carolina also led in the men's hurdles and the 800 meters. The other teams couldn't catch the Speedy Tar Heels, who ended the day dancing and celebrating. The Tar Heels men's team entertained a pair of foes this weekend at Cone-Kenfield Tennis Center and emerged with 2 victories. On Friday night, the Tar Heels topped 51st ranked Northwestern, avenging a defeat last year to the Wildcats by the same score. The nation's top doubles team, Ryan Lucici and Brad Pomeroy, coasted to a win. The Tar Heels carried the momentum from Friday's win to a 7-0 thrashing of North Carolina A&T. Fans had plenty to cheer about as the Heels overpowered the Aggies. With the record, the Tar Heels remain at a perfect 5-0. The Tar Heels and Blue Devils continued their storied rivalry Saturday night, but this time it was on ice. Carolina facing off with Duke for the second time this year. In the club sport, UNC takes the early lead when number 20 Ian Brinkley intercepts the pass and gets it by Duke's goalie. The lead doesn't last long. Moments later, Duke evens it up at 1. This goal later puts Duke ahead for good, and the Blue Devils go on to win by a score of 7-2. The Tar Heel wrestling team had another tough weekend, traveling north to take on Maryland and Navy Saturday. The Heels first fell to Maryland in College Park and later in the day to Navy at Annapolis. Because of injuries, Carolina was forced to forfeit 6 matches in the 2 competitions. Carolina returns to action on Tuesday at home against Duke. Well, it was a great victory for the women's basketball team against Duke, and hopefully they can keep the momentum going, being number 1 in the polls.
Hope so, Michael. Thank you.
What happens when you get nearly 1,000 girls together to try out for a reality show?
Is it model behavior? We'll let you be the judge coming up on Carolina Week.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Could the next Tyra Banks be right here in North Carolina?
To find out, I went to Fayetteville this weekend to see hundreds of girls try out for the 7th season of America's Next Top Model.
When the casting directors of UPN's hit show went looking for talent, they weren't looking for just another pretty face.
It's just exciting to me to see that there's girls with that vibrancy and that just dreams.
Vanity McCrae traveled 6 hours from Atlanta, Georgia to pursue her dream.
The reason I want to be on the show because a lot of people underestimate me, and I feel like this is my opportunity to show people that I am going to make it.
But she'll have to get through some stiff competition first. After several hours of waiting in line, getting applications verified, and photos taken, the judges really wanted to get to know the girls. After all, Top Model is a reality show.
They want nice girls, of course, but they want people that can interact with each other.
McCrae says she's willing to do whatever it takes to make her doubters sing a different tune.
They said I wasn't gonna make it. They said I wasn't gonna make it here today. They said I never amount to anything. All right.
Well, Crystal, if she doesn't make America's Next Top Model, I would highly advise her to maybe try out for American Idol, because she has got a pretty good voice.
Definitely, Shelley. And they won't find out for another month or so whether or not they do make Top Model. Let's take it back over to sportscaster Michael Groh. What's coming up this week?
Well, we've got the wrestling match at home against Duke on Tuesday, and then later in the week, the women's basketball team will be home against State, and the men's team will travel to Maryland.
A couple of away games there, so.
Yep, hopefully they can keep it going. So.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Good night.